Good morning, everyone. This is August 23rd. It's almost 8:15 a.m. And I'm going to talk to you right now about the reports on Afghanistan and also Iran. The Washington Post has just published a piece fact-checking President Joe Biden's speech yesterday, where Biden seems to have said that he never believed in the idea of nation building, but Washington Post has gone through Joe Biden's interview since 2001, since the fall of Afghanistan by American forces, and they've found numerous times where Mr. Biden apparently has been endorsing the idea of nation building and talking about how much the United States would benefit if they spent a fortune in Afghanistan rebuilding that nation. Unfortunately, from what we hear, from what I hear from my sources in Iran and Afghanistan, most of that nation building has gone through waste. It's not only the fact that most of the military equipment that the United States has left for the Afghan forces has fallen into the hands of Taliban, and the U.S. has no way to get them back, but also all the money and treasure and blood and sweat that was spent on education for women, on building infrastructure in Afghanistan, and now it has all fallen to the wrong hands. One of the other issues that has came to my attention, but I see that the mainstream media in the U.S. is less aware of, and they don't really talk about it, is how is this going to affect our withdrawal, the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan? How is it going to affect countries like China and Iran? And if you read the history, Afghanistan was annexed from the Persian Empire in the 1800s by the British while they were at war with China. The Opium Wars that happened in the early 1800s. And at the time, of course, Afghanistan was one of the largest producers of opium, and it still is in the world. And the Brits were able to basically export a lot of that commodity, the opium in Afghanistan, to China, and they made a fortune. It also, for Iran, the fact that Afghanistan was annexed from the Persian Empire, that Iran lost a lot of revenue and eventually went to a few wars with Afghanistan, which eventually, decreased the Iranian government's ability, basically put them in a lot of pressure and economic strangulation. So it seems that the history is almost repeating itself now by us leaving Afghanistan and Taliban taking over. You see all these reports about the Chinese contractors being blown up in Pakistan. The Chinese companies are being targeted throughout Pakistan and Afghanistan. And also now Iranians seems to be worried about all these military equipment that Taliban has gained, and the fact that they have to spend at least a part of their resources, maybe move some of their armies, their mercenaries from Iraq and Syria to Afghanistan, namely the Fatimiyun army.